have you been digging into Mike Furry and what type of offense he ran at Limestone? And if you have, what have you learned?
Just surface level stuff. I know he had some good teams those last couple of years he was there, and knew he had some explosive offenses. And I think back to spring of 2024 when I talked to a couple of his former players at Limestone, including the quarterback, just kind of revisiting those things and reminding myself what Mike Furry was before he got to South Carolina, before I really knew who he was as a coach. So yeah, nothing real detailed or super interesting beyond just, like I said, the surface level stuff.
Okay. What do you think will be different in these last 3 games with him and Sean and the rest of that staff kind of collaboratively figuring this thing out, but then Mike calling it on game day?
That's a great question, and I don't know that anybody in our position could really say, other than just taking a wild guess. And I would imagine there will be maybe some subtle differences, but I don't think we're going to see like a brand new playbook and new system and all that. That's really hard to pull off within a week and a half in the midst of a season. So the biggest thing I would guess is maybe just a different style throughout the course of a game, maybe some subtle stuff that we being like the average viewer may not even necessarily recognize, unless it's just way more productive and just looks like a better product, and the stats are better and all that. So who knows?
Yeah.
We'll find out here in about a week, though.
Hale, this is what I have kind of stuck in my brain. I'm with you. I mean, you can't just rip the playbook to shreds and then try to reinstall an entirely different, although you got extra time, you don't have enough time. And so they're not going to do that. I would, if I had to take a wild guess at this sucker, and we're going to talk to Perry about it in a little bit too, I would think you would see more consistency in the things that work. Like if you find something that works, because we didn't see that under Mike. I don't think we did. Hey, this works. Kind of that old hard-headed Steve Spurrier way of doing things. Well, let's just keep calling it. You might have a different formation or different personnel, but if they can't stop it, we're just going to run the same plays until they do stop it.
Yeah, that seems probably like a good place to start. And I think there have been times when, you can just point to that very first drive against Virginia Tech in that game and how clean that whole operation looked from start to finish on that possession. And I don't know if they called any of those plays again or not, but it sure was kind of clunky there for about 2.5 quarters until they hit Nick Harbor on that deep ball and were able to milk the clock on the final possession of that game with the run game. So I don't know. It seems like there were times this season where maybe there was too much of the drop back passing game, and I keep getting kind of stuck on something Shane said after the Alabama game, I guess it was, when he mentioned that he told Mike Shula, if we're going to have 25 passing attempts in this game, let's make sure we're not calling 20 drop back passing plays for Lenore. And to me, that's where the issues kind of stem from, just overall watching Mike Shula's offenses here at South Carolina, is that they weren't always the best situations for Lenore Sellers to succeed, for some of these receivers to succeed, for the running backs, the offensive line that's been banged up really the entire season and shuffling guys in and out. So maybe that'll be what we see, to your point, JB, or just, if something's working, let's roll with it and try to figure out ways to keep doing that. As basic as that sounds.
Is there any word, and I don't even know how much this matters, if it does matter, but I'm just curious, has there been any word whether Mike will call it from the sideline or go upstairs?
I have not heard.
Okay.
I didn't have a chance to ask that specific question to Shane yesterday on the SEC coaches teleconference. I should have just not. I got the first question in and had his follow up, and I should have just kept firing away. But I thought maybe some other media folks around here were going to chime in, but no, there were just some other folks across the league asking Shane whatever. So no, I would just be guessing. So I don't want anybody to quote me on this, but Mike Furry called plays at Limestone as the head coach, and he was on the field. So I would assume he would be on the field, but that's just a guess. I have no idea.
I also, on that note too, I don't know if maybe I missed it. I'm not sure, but I'm assuming that Davis Cutter is now the quarterback's coach, right?
That was also a follow-up question I had that I did not have a chance to get in. So
okay.
I would guess.
I would assume so.
Yeah.
I mean, he was the assistant quarterback's coach. How much coaching is going on with the quarterback position right now? I'm not so sure there's as much coaching, more confidence rebuilding, I would think. But, again, that's something we'll talk to Perry about coming up here in a little bit. He can probably answer that as well as anybody out there. It's the hope, Hale, is that they find, the largest lightning bolt they can find and shove that in a bottle and finish the season on a 4-game winning streak, which would mean they went to the postseason and won a bowl game and salvage everything that's happened to this point. But I mean, you think about this right now, in the middle of August, or I guess at the beginning of August when camp started, 3 of the on-field coaches are not here. When you include Travian Robertson being in that car wreck, God bless him and his family and what they're going through. Mike's been fired. Lonnie's been fired. Sean is now coaching the offensive line. Ben Burris is coaching the tight ends. I guess Davis Cutter is coaching the quarterbacks. Mike is the offensive coordinator. I don't. When's the last time we saw something like this? I mean, I know Will got fired in the middle of the season and Bobo took over, but I don't think there was that much turnover with the coaching staff all kind of changing roles and this, that, and the over a period of basically 90 days. Can you remember anything like this?
Yeah, I mean, that would be the closest thing that I could point to, definitely since I've been covering the team. Yeah, I mean, I think T-Rob back then, Travaris Robinson, had kind of checked out, was coaching, but maybe not always present, literally. So no, I don't know.
That's a good point too.
Was there anything when Spurrier, because I was still in the upstate when Spurrier did his thing in I guess 15?
Yeah, I mean GA called the plays. John was the head coach, but I don't recall there being any other major changes. I don't know if Sean was still coaching the offensive line. I'd have to go back and look. But this has been as much as I can remember. Yeah. Jordan Love has been in there coaching the defensive line with Travian being out. I mean, you've got now 3 guys who were like assistant to the assistants who are major game day guys with headsets on, coaching these dudes on the field right now. I mean, that's crazy. It kind of puts it into perspective. This was to this point, it has been a year to forget for Carolina football, but Shane Beamer is trying to Band-Aid everything up that he can and make it a year to remember. When in 5-10 years, it's golly, can you believe that they got it together like that to finish the season? That's what he's trying to salvage. We'll see if they can do it. From a salvage standpoint, what's going on the recruiting trail with all this stuff that's been going on, the poor results, the coaching changes? We'll start with Landon Duckworth because I think that's the latest report that I saw. What's going on there?
Yeah, so he finally made an announcement reaffirming his commitment and effectively shutting down his recruitment. He did that last night. Put that out last night through Hayes Fawcett, which is the thing to do. with guys these days. For some reason, that the thing to do, like I'm referring to, is shutting down their recruitment, making that public declaration. So that's been a thing for like about a year now, and I'm sure will continue to be one moving forward for some reason. But that's something that we'd been talking about on the Big Spur and writing about going all the way back to the start of September when Duckworth popped up at LSU for the Louisiana Tech game, I think it was, and took a visit there. And we reported on the site and heard positive feedback. He was telling Carolina's coaches all the right things and was supposed to be putting something similar to what he had out last night a couple months ago. But, for whatever reason, it didn't happen as soon as we anticipated. But he continued to say the right things and, again, tell the Carolina coaches that he was firm and all that good stuff. And I guess it is certainly noteworthy now with Mike Shula's dismissal that Duckworth went ahead and made that declaration on Wednesday night, a couple days after Shula had been fired. So that's sort of the latest there. But again, it had been kind of building for a while now, and was something that we had expected a while back. And of course, Duckworth had been committed at one point early on in his high school career. I think it was August of 2023. Then he decommitted the following June, I guess it was. So he had already committed to Carolina once before Mike Shula was even here. So he wasn't necessarily tied to Mike Shula, quote unquote. But when you have an offense that's having issues and you fire your offensive coordinator, that's at least something to have to wonder about. And here we are.
Yeah, well, I'll give him some grace on that. You know what I mean? You're starting. I mean, quarterbacks they move around every year. I mean, it's the most transactional position in college athletics.
Yeah,
and so I will give him some grace on that. Hey, look, the offensive coordinator has been fired. I'm sure that he was hearing from multiple teams and programs out there once that happened.
Well, sorry to cut you off there. It probably helped that the team that was his finalist before he committed was Auburn, and LSU, like I said a minute ago, neither one of them have a head coach right now. So that probably helped things if we're being honest here.
That's a fair point too. It also, I mean, it's not like he has to stay committed. I mean, he could say, "Hey, look, let me give this thing." I mean, he can sign in the spring. He is planning to enroll in January, though, right?
It's my understanding, yeah.
Okay. So he could still open it back up, but at least like if you're South Carolina, he's committed to the program. But I think that also means that he's committed to Shane Beamer, and he has faith that Shane Beamer is going to hire somebody that he is going to want to play for. I mean, that's the signal that he's sending right now. I guess there's no reason to believe otherwise.
Yeah, for sure. That's part of what a head coach in particular tries to sell when recruiting anybody, but especially a quarterback. Is like, hey, you might have a relationship with the offensive coordinator and quarterback's coach, and they're running a system that you think is just perfect for you. But at the end of the day, there are going to be more factors in why you want to go be at a school than just who may ever be calling the plays. As things change, and I think one thing Shane Beamer probably tries to sell recruits on is that that's where he wants to be, and as long as he's there, he's going to do everything in his power to make sure that he's got things built up around the program to put guys in position to succeed.
Long live 5 Points, baby. You come on a visit, you go down, you experience it, you never want to leave. No, I'm just kidding. I have no idea if this kid went to 5 Points. All right. Amari Thomas, the 5'10", 190-pound tailback who is committed to South Carolina from the Sunshine State. That would be Florida for you Clemson fans. He's having a heck of a year. Hale, what's the latest with that young man?
Yeah, he's supposed to be back up for the Clemson game here in 3 weeks, whenever I get 4 weeks.
Wow. Yeah.
At the end of the month. Seems like an eternity from now, but he's supposed to be back up for that one. He
2 weeks.
visited for the Kentucky game, I guess it was. That was his first game day trip to Carolina. So yeah, that's the plan. I mean, he was obviously committed to Florida State at one time, and I don't think Florida State is necessarily making a big push for him. They've already got, I think, one running back committed, and are I think maybe close to getting another guy on board. So yeah, he's having a fantastic senior season, putting up some gaudy numbers that are pretty ridiculous. And yeah, I think things are in a good spot for him as we get closer to next month.
What level of football does he play in Florida?
I can't remember exactly the level, but I don't think it's like super small. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm sure somebody in the chat box can correct me on that in no time. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
All right. Who would win in a fight, Shane Beamer or Mike Lockxley? No, I'm just kidding. This is
Lockxley.
No, I think Shane's scrappy, man. You know, I think he'd have a shot. Get him on
I'd tell Shane right now that Mike Lockxley would whip his ass.
Well, he wasn't scared of Bielema. What makes you think he's scared of Lockxley?
That's true.
What's the deal, man? What's the deal up there? Like, why you gotta do that? Well, what you say that Carolina's paying the kid? You know, Beamer's like, wait, this is ridiculous. Now you got people up there writing articles about Shane, and what's going on here? Do you even care?
I mean, I care because it gets mad page views anytime I write about it. So yeah, I care. It's right. It moves the needle.
Let's keep it up. Okay.
Hey, I'll start making stuff up if I need to.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, it all started back in December 2021 when Jayshon Barham, I think it was 21, yeah, when Jayshon Barham committed to South Carolina, then ended up flipping to Maryland on signing day. And the crazy thing about that I don't think a lot of people even remember as we have reopened this whole Mike Lockxley, Shane Beamer grudge match, is that when Barham committed to South Carolina, like, I can't remember who had the announcement, like where it was, like on ESPN or 24/7. I don't even remember. Probably wasn't 24/7 because I didn't think he was coming to South Carolina. And we usually have a pretty good idea about that. But anyway, like, I just watched it because I think it was a Saturday and I didn't really have a lot going on. So I was like, I'll just watch it just to make sure. Didn't even have a story ready to hit publish on. That's how little confidence I had that it was going to be South Carolina when he first committed. And he committed to South Carolina. And it was very surprising. And then signing day was, I guess, like a week or so later. And he flipped to Maryland, and there was some drama with that. And the Maryland football Twitter account, like their version of Justin King, put out a video of Jayshon Barham and his mom kind of mocking South Carolina and saying why they picked Maryland and all that. And that added another element or layer to it. And then Shane had some comments during his signing day press conference that day, and that added a little something to it. Then there's been some other guys that have gone back and forth with Maryland and South Carolina, not to the extent of this public spat with Jayshon Barham and now Zion Ely. But yeah, there's been some battles for sure. And it's fun. I mean, that's what makes all this stuff entertaining and why we can sit here and talk about it on a internet broadcast with people commenting in a chat box and reading the Big Spur and whatever else. That's what makes it fun.
I was talking to Coach Friedgen a couple of years ago at Patrick Davis's wedding, and he knows Lockxley well, obviously. And he said that Lockxley told him, he's like, man, that Beamer is just picking us apart. He comes up here, he gets all these players. I can't keep any of them. Like, he had admitted that to Coach Friedgen. And he's like, well, I mean, what are you going to do about it? You know, you're going to have to figure it out. Does he hang on to Zion Ely at the end of the day?
I think so. I think Zion Ely will sign with Maryland as long as Mike Lockxley's there. I think that's how it'll happen. I could be totally wrong. I mean, he obviously came down for the Alabama game as an official visitor, and that was kept on the down low for sure. And wasn't, you know, it was some news that I broke that Saturday of the game, and it was a big deal that he was there, and it was a big deal when he visited in June with a group of high school recruits from that area, the DMV area, and that was kind of on the down low as well in some regards. So who knows? Ely likes to move in silence, so to speak, and if there's anything that I think that could maybe help Carolina's cause, is Mike Lockxley talking out of his ass and saying what he did on a radio show, accusing South Carolina of paying him to come visit. That may not sit right with Zion. Or maybe he doesn't care. I don't know. I've never even talked to the kid, but it sure seemed like a miscalculation on Locksley's part.
That was going to be my next point, which was you could throw Shane Beamer and South Carolina under the bus all you want. You also threw the kid under the bus that you're about to sign. So, yeah. I mean, what are you doing?
Right.
All right. Last little bit here. We know the normal names that are constantly, you know, Julian Walker, keep an eye on. It's not over. Tamarian Watkins, we're not going to rehearse all that. Franklin Whitley, the late bloomer from Greenville, did commit to Florida State. So what's the latest there? Do we continue to keep an eye on this kid? What do you think?
Probably not. I think at this point the strategy for this staff moving forward is mostly focusing on getting things ready for the portal. We talked about Zion Ely. You mentioned Julian Walker. Like, they do need some defensive ends, high school transfer portal, whatever. They're going to need at least a few, I would think, going into next season to get that roster ready. And whether it's those defensive end, defensive tackle, wherever else. At this point, I think it's safe to say that I know this is a strategy that the staff wants to get guys and many guys in who can come in and help next season, because clearly they don't have a very long runway with how things have gone this season. So yeah, they need some guys who can help sooner than later, and that's an understatement.
Gamecocks right now, the 24/7 composite, sitting at number 21 in the country. That is because they have 15 commitments. If they had 4 or 5 more, they'd probably be up knocking on the door of the top 10. But it is a solid class right now when it comes to players and talent. There's no doubt about that.